For the past year and a half, my go-to shoes for long runs, long run workouts and races of 20 miles in a marathon has been the Adidas Adizero Pro 3s. After some initial misgivings about the quality of the upper and the lockdown, so much have I enjoyed them that I now own 5 pairs. They're built like absolute tanks. Some of the pairs have done well over 500 miles and are still going strong. However, for shorter race distances like 5k and 10k, I've favoured the Adidas Takumi Sen range. So like many of you, I've been eagerly awaiting the release of the Adidas Adizero Pro 4s. So having finally got myself a pair in the right size, of which more later, I've taken them out for 3 test runs. Firstly, a short shakeout. Secondly, a session where I alternated the Pro 3s and the Pro 4s at around marathon pace. And then finally a workout where we go through 10k pace, 5k pace and top end speed. And at the end of it, I'll answer the question that many of you may be asking: is the upgrade worth it on what is already an excellent pair of shoes in the Pro 3s? And all the shoes under discussion, in fact everything I wear for running, has been bought totally out of my own money. So an unbiased, unvarnished review coming up. So the first time putting on the Pro 4s for a 2-mile shakeout run, and immediately on putting them on, it felt like putting your feet into very comfortable slippers. They were light, the lockdown was excellent, and one point of difference I noticed between the Pro 3s and the Pro 4s is that they are slightly lighter. So when it came to running up a hill, there was one slope at Concord Park, which people who do the park run will be familiar with. It was so much more comfortable and smooth moving up this hill. I'm going up it here. That's me looking comfortable and smooth. So yeah, all in all, tremendous first impressions on this little shakeout run of the Pro 4s. Oh, what's that on the floor? No pain, no gain. What's that all about then? I'm not quite sure about that. So initial 2-mile jog there, little leg loosener, movement breaks I like to say. Absolutely beautiful, responsive, light on the feet, excellent lockdown. But what we'll do later today, we'll take them out on a proper marathon effort session, and then in 2 days time we're going to take them out on a 5 to 10k effort with a little bit of top end speed thrown in and see how they do throughout the paces. By the way, do you like my phone cover? Recognise the man on it? Actually could be really useful, couldn't it? So if it ever gets lost or mislaid, all somebody has to do is look up who ran number 7 to 8 at the Telford 10k in 2024, and there's your man. By the way, I didn't do that myself. It's not a narcissist present to myself. It was actually a lovely Christmas present from Dawn. Oh, I can think of one or two who would have that done for themselves. So here we are, a few hours later, as they say, Hillsborough Park. So what we're going to do, we're going to do 1 lap warm-up, which is a whole mile. Then I'm going to move into doing 4 lots of 2 miles at around marathon pace, stroke marathon effort, on this inner loop we've got around here, which is half a mile all the way around. So 4 loops of that be 2 miles. After each 2 miles, I'm going to change my shoes. So the first 2 miles will be in the Pro 3s, second lot of 2 miles in the Pro 4s, third lot in the Pro 3s, and the final lot in the Pro 4s. And then at the end, I'm going to look at the stats and see what my heart rate was, see what my cadence was, and any other metrics that might shed light on which shoe might be better to run at marathon effort. Firstly, I'll pay for some parking. So expectation here is marathon pace will be somewhere around 7:30, but I'm not going to stress about that. It's the end of a working day. We've been sat down quite a lot commuting, so the legs will do what the legs will do, but it'll be a good test for the trainers. So yeah, it's not a particularly hilly loop. This is just gentle slope up to the top there, all the way around, and a gentle slope down. Hillsborough is a pretty fast parkrun course. So the bonus here, even though it's not dark yet, but it's getting there, is we've obviously got lamps here. I think it's well used in the evening, people walking from work, and this was a scene, people running around doing sessions. Good resource, this. Football ground over there, Hillsborough, famous one. So these Pro 3s I'm wearing for the first rep have about 300 miles in them, but they're like tanks. There's no difference between now and when they had 100 miles in them. So they have been my favourite shoe for my 20-mile races and marathon efforts over the past year and a half. So rep 1 begins. 4 loops of this. There are a few corners on this, 4 actually, and the Pro 3s take them very well, very responsive, very poppy, very bouncy, comfortable and smooth, as I've come to expect. Coming to the end of rep 1, can you see me out there? I have to play with the settings here. I'm off on the Pro 4s. Immediately they feel lighter, my feet are coming off the ground quicker, feel snappier. I could imagine running 10k, 10 miles in these, whereas I wouldn't in the Pro 3s. Pro 4s corner beautifully too, I can attest. Notice it's different on hills. When grinding towards the top of that slope in the Pro 3s, I seem to glide up in the Pro 4s and get going on the flat a lot quicker. And the final mile of the second Pro 3 set, so we'll see how the Pro 4s can give us a lift for the final set of 2 miles in a minute. Three laps to go. It's all done and I'll cool down now. Park's down there. Successful session in terms of execution, but we'll see what those numbers tell us when we get back home. And now we are at home, and what those numbers tell us are that the 2 sets done in the Pro 3s came out at 7:26 and 7:24 effort pace, whereas the 2 sets done in the Pro 4s came out at 7:18 and 7:13. Quite a bit of a difference. Now, I was just running by perceived effort because it was dark. I wasn't looking at my watch in any particular way, but there was a slightly rising heart rate for the faster paces in the Pro 4s, but I was also able to get up to a higher running power at a less perceived effort. So not a lot of huge difference in the stats, but my perception of running was a lot lighter and a lot freer at marathon effort in the Pro 4s. So the heart rate did rise on the final set in the Pro 4s up to 162 from 157 as to be expected. But yeah, going by perceived effort, it certainly felt easier in the Pro 4s as opposed to the Pro 3s. And my perception is that'll be a lot bigger difference when I try and run at faster paces on Thursday evening, but let's see if my perception is proved correct. So as promised, 2 days later, here we are back at Hillsborough Park. Tonight's session is a shorter one. It's 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, then 4 times 30-second strides, and we just repeat that once. So there's 2 sets because we've got something special coming up on Sunday that we want to be fresh for, so make sure you stay tuned for that. So the idea for me is to spin through sort of 10k and 5k pace in the Pro 3s and also in the Pro 4s and see how they compare. And we're off on the first 3 minutes in the Pro 3s. The feeling was, yeah, she can go along okay at around 7-minute miling, which is about half marathon effort for me. We'll see if we can get any more going harder at 2 minutes. To refer to the Pro 3s, quite a nice pickup there. The majority of that rep was up the slope, so that's where the Coros adjusted pace comes into play. We'll have a look later. I'd imagine something around 6:35 pace adjusted. It's about 10k pace currently. Yeah, so though I've never worn these Pro 3s for 5k effort, I can see why people do. Very responsive. So once again, both the Pro 3s and the Pro 4's excellent shoes. I just feel I'm getting a little bit more bang for my buck with the Pro 4's. They're definitely softer, they're definitely more responsive, and I feel I can get more running power and get to higher effort levels in them. But once again, we'll see what the stats say when I get home. Home again, and the stats say on runs 1, 2 and 3, which was a 3, 2 and 1 minute in the Pro 3s, we have 7:27. Ignore that, I dropped something, I had to pick it up. Then a 6:50, then a 6:53. Then we cycled into the mid and low 6s for the 30-second bursts. And then when we get into the Pro 4s, which is from the run 8 onwards, we go 6:54, 6:33 and 6:18 pace, and feeling very good at 5k to 10k pace. And then we get into the 5s for the sprint bits in the Pro 4s. But when I compare the effort paces on the 2-minute and 1-minute sections, there's not a lot to choose between them. So top end speed is better in the Pro 4s, but really the data would say there's not a lot to choose when running at 5k, 10k pace between these two shoes, which is a bit revelation for me because I've never considered the Pro 3s to be a 5k or 10k shoe in my rotation. What do you think? Have you used the Adidas Pro 3s for a shorter race? So, shoe off complete. Have we found any differences between the Pro 3s and the Pro 4s? Well, I think I have. In fact, I think there are 4 points of difference between these two pairs of shoes, and I'm going to go through them right now. So, firstly, sizing. 4 out of the 5 pairs of Pro 3s I have, including this one, are a size 10. So I went for a size 10 in these, despite hearing that possibly I might need to go half a size up. Inevitably, the size 10s came, they're a little bit too small. So I went on a website of a well-known shoe retailer who deals online and arranged what I thought was a seamless swap in exchange for the 10.5s. Everything went through smoothly until I received an email later that morning saying, oh, we don't have the 10.5s in stock. Those are the 10.5s that I'd ordered a couple of hours before. But for the same price, they could sell me the Pro 3s. I think not. So a quick trip over to Run Northwest in Wilmslow in Cheshire. Absolutely fantastic customer service. They put a pair of shoes away for me. I went over there, tested the 10s and the 10.5s, found the 10.5s to be absolutely spot on. So thank you Run Northwest for customer service. But in terms of sizing, definitely go half a size up from your normal Adidas shoe. So, second point of difference between these two pair of shoes is the weight. I said I felt that these felt lighter. I put them on the scales earlier this morning. 217 grams for these and 235 grams for these, which math tells me is 18 grams difference, despite these being half a size up. I really noticed it on the hills when I went for a little shakeout run in Concord Park and up the slopes around Hillsborough Park. So yeah, there is a difference in weight, which particularly over a longer distance of the marathon might tell a little. So thirdly, the lockdown in the upper feel. The Pro 3s are well known for initially feeling quite scratchy to begin with. I really didn't get on with my first pair when I first had them, and being incredibly hard to lock down. Usually if I go for a run, I'm having to stop 2 or 3 times in the first few miles to tighten and retighten. But the Pro 4s have a new upper material called Light Lock. Absolutely super smooth on the feet. Lockdown was brilliant. First time I put the shoes on, I didn't even notice I didn't even have to think about the lockdown, the upper pressing into my big toe like I do with many pairs of my Pro 3s. So that's the third point of difference. Absolutely beautiful lockdown, ample laces to tie up unlike these, and super smooth feeling on your feet. Dawn's just told me to move the shoes differently. There we go. Anyway, final and major difference is in the foam. So they're both Light Strike Pro, but I believe this is an updated version of the Light Strike Pro based on research Adidas have done in making the Pro Evos, the 500-pound trainers. It is a lot softer and a lot squishier. These two pairs of trainers have a totally different feel. With the Pro 3s, you feel like you're on a bit of a trampoline that's tied very tight. You land and you're straight off. Here there's a little bit more of a squishy feel, but also very responsive too. So in terms of the foam, this one's firmer, this one's lighter. In fact, they feel like two totally different pairs of shoes. If I was doing a blindfold test and had these on first and those on next, I wouldn't say that this is the updated version of this. In fact, people have commented to me that they feel that the Pro 4s are more like the Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris, got all that one out, than this. So next thing I'm going to do is to try and find a pair of those Metaspeed Sky Paris to compare against these. So many similarities, still got the Adidas energy rods rather than the carbon plate, and I think they put the rocker slightly further forward on the shoe as compared to this one. So, bottom line, is this money well spent? Absolutely. It fills a gap in my shoe rotation. These have been my go-to shoes, as I've said, for 20-mile races and marathons. I've not had any shoes I could put between 10k and marathon distance. I've got the Adidas Takumi Sen 8s, 9s and 10s for the 5Ks and 10Ks. I wasn't quite sure when I'm doing a 10-mile race or a half marathon what I'd go for. These absolutely definite, and I'm going to test them out over a 20-mile race in a few weeks' time, and then hopefully they're going to get me round the Brighton Marathon. Hope you got some useful information out of this exercise. So have you bought this pair of shoes? Are you intending to? Or indeed, have you been influenced one way or the other by my review? Let me know in the comments below. So if you have found this video useful, please give it a like and share it with any friends you think might be looking to buy the Adidas Pro 4s. And please subscribe to the channel to see how I get on with them in the coming weeks and months. So until next time, keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.